So for the past month, I've been trying to make a slot machine using redstone, starting with practically zero knowledge. And I started with a concept, and I thought it'd be quite simple, right? Just a quick build for a server I'm playing on. But it took a month. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be revisiting all of them, and we're going to try and reverse engineer them and figure out what was going through my head through them. So obviously we're starting with the concept here. Pretty simple. I think the idea here was, I don't even know what I was going for, but since the start I had this idea with the hoppers. Now I didn't know how hoppers fully worked, right? I was just figuring out, okay, which one do I have to lock? A bit confusing. If you lock the top one here, it will go down. If you lock the bottom one, then it will go right. This one's there. You unlock this one, so it goes here. And then you unlock this one, so it goes here. So that was kind of the first design, and I was thinking, okay, it picks randomly between these two. Some random method. At this point, I didn't know what the random method would be. This was like the main deciding factor of the slot machine. So I began with it. I was here for ages, by the way, when I was doing this. I had no clue what I was doing. And then I realized, okay, I kind of have to move from here because I've got an idea going. So then I came over here. This build is about 22 blocks long, about 10 blocks high, or 9 blocks high. Basically, you put the diamond in. And as long as there's a diamond in the first hopper and the last hopper, then disable the machine. There's 2 checks here. But here's an issue with this. What's really annoying is if you go ahead and put in 1 diamond, then what happens is the diamond hits the first thing, leaves the first thing, and starts flowing through. And because there's so many damn hoppers, it takes ages to get to the second hopper. And by the time it's at the second hopper, you can click that button as many times as you want. It's gonna bug out the machine and it's not gonna work. But anyway, let's assume it works. Once the diamond goes into the chamber, you're then allowed to click the button. And then what happens is there's 2 hoppers in the back that are constantly, they will throw that 1 block back and forth. But you click that button, 2 blocks are gonna come down and lock those hoppers. Whichever hopper is active at the time it locks, it will activate its respective piston, pushing a composter to a comparator, which will then unlock either the top or the bottom hopper, depending on which hopper wins. If one of the 2 pistons are active and there are no diamonds in the chamber, which means that everything's emptied, then it will activate the opposite piston, pushing the composter back. Now this idea works really well, but then I came up with a better idea for the flowing system. The idea is here, 1 diamond goes through, it pushes this block in, so it's inactive, right? Once a diamond reaches here, it becomes active again. This was like the general idea, the idea of pushing a block to say if it's active or inactive. Basically, if it's active, that means you're allowed to play. So we've now created a flowing system. So I go into the next iteration, which is much bigger than the last one. So this build is about 23 blocks long, 13 blocks tall. So this one is huge. There's some issues with it. We can give it a try now. I don't know if it actually works. So you put in 1 diamond, right? Goes through, then it starts. And then you flick. This one is broken. If it was working, the basic idea was that you put a diamond in, and this time we actually check if a diamond is going in because we don't allow other blocks in. So we check a diamond goes in. Now I'm going to activate the piston that we were talking about earlier that deactivates the button. So now you can't play the machine until that composter comes back down. This composter will come back down once there are diamonds in the chamber and no diamonds flowing. You see, the issue is with this, if you want to insert more diamonds after you've already inserted them, then it's going to start bugging out. Also, in this iteration, I added a screen, but you see the screen is really shit. It basically checks, are there diamonds in the chamber and are items not flowing? Then activate the screen. But you see, the thing is, it's just really noisy and it works because the thing is, there's a thing at the back that basically checks. If you've won, activate this redstone torch or whatever the hell, and it forces the bottom piston to stay up. So it shows you win, it shows you lose, but it's just a really shit idea because it bugs out a lot. But the main issue of the machine overall is the fact that there's so many checks that actually play. There's if there's diamond in the machine, if this, if that. So I decided, okay, we're going to get into the next one. We're going to make sure that the checks are simple, very simple. Now this one is a much simpler design. And originally I was going to end on this one. I was like, okay, this is perfect. But as I was building it, I noticed many mistakes. I'll say them now. So this one is 16 blocks high, 14 blocks long. So it's not as long as the other one. There's a couple of issues with this one. So we'll put in a diamond now. Right? It sees the diamond. It's also really slow. So it does everything it has to do. Okay, I think I've broke. First of all, let's follow the diamond. The diamond goes in, and once again, it does its check. When the diamond is checked, we're gonna activate this, which unlocks the top hopper just just for a little bit, just to let that one diamond through. Then what it also does, originally, the idea was that a diamond would flow through, right? And what I was gonna do was just let the diamond flow through, sit in the chamber, and if you win, but obviously it hasn't been made yet, but if you won, then it would, as the diamonds are coming back up, double the diamonds. But I thought, okay, why not just double the diamonds the second it's in? So then it activates this, unlocks the bottom hopper, and throws in another diamond, basically matching it, doubling the diamonds. And last but not least, it comes up here and goes to this little time extender. Now, I'll explain the time extender in a minute, but the main point that it goes up here is it activates this piston to basically activate this piston and say, there are diamonds flowing, so deactivate this, right? So when that activates, there are diamonds flowing, deactivate this, but don't allow the machine to play. This is part of a bigger mechanism that basically says, if there are diamonds flowing at the start, or there are diamonds flowing at the end, deactivate that piston. You see, the issue is with that, same as the first machine, or the second one, whatever the hell, if you put one diamond in, the first one's gonna activate, leave, and then suddenly, oh, the diamond's still flowing, but it thinks there's no diamond flowing because it's stuck in between those two mechanisms. And it goes, and sure, it works, but you can then play the machine before the diamond's in, and you may break it. Now, there's the time extender, which extends the pulse long enough to the point where the diamond could reach the end. But again, it's a patch for an issue I've made. That's the idea. Also, I'll show you the items flowing. So basically, this says if there aren't diamonds flowing and there are diamonds in the chamber, then let the player play. And it lets the player play by unobstructing the redstone signal and lets it connect. So if you hit the button, then it's gonna fire. And you click the button. And then what ends up happening is, now here's the thing, right? These are sticky pistons. You would think that once you flick that lever, the pistons will go down and just go back up. That's not what happens. I don't know if it's a glitch, but it's basically a pulse quick enough to say it extends the piston, but then unextends the piston, and the block doesn't stick to it. And you're gonna see this in action. You know, we throw the diamonds in. Diamonds aren't flowing. I mean, diamonds are flowing, so wait. Diamonds aren't flowing, activate that. Diamonds in chamber, activate that. And now, these are actually connected, so you can activate this. You hit that, right? Like we said, these go down, right? And I'll explain why they go back up in a minute. And I'm just gonna skip a bunch of steps right now, but I'm just gonna explain this really quickly. This goes back because we have some minecarts here. So basically, when there are diamonds in the chamber, the hoppers will be here. But when there are no diamonds in the chamber, and this goes back up, the hoppers will be instructed to leave by powering the rails. And when they leave, this piston will also be pulled back, which basically gets rid of this wall. And the hoppers will click this button, hit the note block. The note block will then toggle this signal. The observer will notice that signal through that repeater, send a signal that way, power this redstone once, so it hits both of these, and then activates both of these, which this one here will activate this. And also, there's another thing I haven't explained, which is really interesting that I found out from a mumbo jumbo video, actually. I was just on YouTube, I saw my recommended, I thought, okay, this was like a 50 redstone tips videos. And I click it, and it was very interesting. There's a lot of stuff that I learned from that. There's the fact that leaves update when a log touches them, and scaffolding will update all the way up to the top. So it's just a very confusing system. And the thing is, I realized, okay, why is it making the choice here when what we can do in reality is it makes a decision here. So if you win, minecart goes this way. If you lose, minecart goes that way. And that I thought was a much simpler way to do this. But the idea is if we just have one barrel, like, right, it doesn't break it, right? Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to show the other iterations because I'm trying to win a bet. However, next Friday, I will be uploading a tutorial on the final iteration, and I have addressed a lot of issues where one of the issues was the hoppers aren't actually random. You can actually time it. And 2, the machine is generally so loud. And 3, oh, this one's so good. I completely got rid of the flowing system. The flowing system is unneeded, but you will see that all next week. Also 4, as opposed to the red and green blocks that go like shoop, 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 shoop for the screen system, I made a whole new screen system. It's silent, so no pistons. It literally is like a slot machine. I am a genius, brother. I am a genius. All right, anyway. Kill yourself!